B-rolls. Look at these joints, y'all. Say what up to my man. What's your name again, bro?
2013 Jonathan Cruz. Feel me? 2013 Daytona Charger. Get that wide body kit put on there. It's gonna be looking real nice.
Yeah, we about to do exactly what we did with mine. We're throwing the Vice Res kit on. We're doing the bolts, the flares, the molding. Bro said he's been following the build. We gonna perfect his shit. First wide body customer on the channel, you guys. And you gonna see how I really work now that I know what I'm doing with these kits. This kit is gonna look perfect. And it's only the start. You see bro got the SRT bumpers on this bitch. Honestly clean as fuck. It looks just like mine low-key when it was white. Honestly cleaner though. Got the fucking wicker bill. I've been thinking about doing this. You had the RT on before, huh?
Yeah, I did. I still gotta fill these holes. I'm waiting for the wrap.
I fuck with this spoiler. I've been thinking about a newer year on mine, but my girl told me to keep the SRT8 spoiler.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looked good on me.
It does, but I think when I do the hood and I make it black, I think I'm gonna go with the lip like that. I could always put it back on, but I don't know, bruh. I do like it just because the body lines match with it.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, the wide body actually makes the spoiler look way better.
I agree. I'm not gonna lie, the curves on it. Shit, bro got such a nasty hood. I'm jealous. It's about to look so crazy with the kit on. I hope y'all are excited as me, because this is really gonna make the channel break a barrier. And I want y'all to know that anyone could do this work if they put their mind to it. Anyone could build their car to what they like. They just gotta commit. It takes time. Time, money, patience. This car is about to look like a whole new car though, so. We're gonna see my boy more. He's gonna be in the process of some of it. I'm gonna record everything this time so you guys could see exactly from start to finish how I do these. I didn't really thoroughly show when I redid my kit the right way, so I'm gonna show you guys the right way, plastic welding and all to do a kit. And we're gonna get it together this week, so stay tuned.
Hell yeah.
About the wide body at Daytona at that, y'all. I didn't even know this was a Daytona until he showed me the batch.
It even got the Daytona seats too.
My dumb ass looked right at this on the back quarter panel and didn't even think about it. Oh shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
all right, y'all. We're back today. New day. Starting the kit. Starting the process. We about to mock up the brackets. Line them up. Give them the cuts they need. Line up the flares. Mark where we need to cut those. Cut them. Cut the fenders. Plastic weld the flares. And it really ain't nothing to it but to do it. So I'm gonna show you guys the whole process this time. My boy's about to be here along with me learning. We're gonna show y'all how it's done the right way. So let's get to it, y'all. So when you're doing the wide body and you have these brackets, my recommendation is to start at the door where the side skirts would be, so you know you're lining it up properly with the skirt. And make sure you clean your surface with some rubbing alcohol. And before you decide to drill these in, because you do want to drill them in, mock them up, line them up, put the flare on, and make sure that it sits right before you just completely drill it in, just so you know that your flares are going to sit in the right position. So now with this one, it's not too hard. I remember it's about right here, but I'm still gonna test fit, because if I test fit this side, the other side, I don't have to test fit really. Okay, so like I said, get the flare, and now that the brackets lined up with that double-sided adhesive, you could see how the flare fitment is. So before you do the door flares, if you're not bolting the door flares like me and you're using double-sided adhesive of any kind, you want to sand the surface that you're going to have that adhesive on. You don't have to sand the car paint. It's recommended, but I personally don't like to. I just sand down the inner side of the flare so the adhesive can stick. You want to make sure you clean it good with rubbing alcohol too prior to putting that adhesive on, or it will just come off. But these door flares, they normally never come off, so double-sided adhesive for the flares on the doors is usually enough. The fenders are the ones you got to worry about because of the wide wheels. They hit on potholes, and you know, if you don't do it right, the flare might fly off. I should have picked up rubbing alcohol. I didn't think about that. Could use some more. Y'all, so for the door flares, instead of one layer of the double-sided adhesive, I did 2 layers, so we're gonna see if this holds these door flares better. Mind you, like I said, there's really never anyone having issues with these door flares coming off. It's usually these, or specifically the ones in the front, but these door ones you really don't have to worry about. These clips themselves hold them really well, but you want to be safe. Oh yeah, bro. Yeah. I fixed the issue for sure. First flare in. Hey, he might have been onto something with this 2-piece of tape, bro. I might redo my doors with this, because I only got one, and like my issue's up here on mine. Like it's that, like the tape doesn't reach because it's on the inner flare. I think I just fixed that issue. No cap, bro.
Because it don't look like there's any really seams or anything.
Yeah, that fit beautifully like a glove. That couldn't fit any more nice.
Literally just a snapping top.
First flare on, y'all, and this tape is holding very well. If you get the 3M double-sided tape, don't just use any double-sided tape. It's called VHS, I believe, something like that, but it's 3M VHS double-sided adhesive. They have different cuts. You want the thinner pre-cut ones that are thin for the inner side of these flares if you're doing this, because the thick ones you're gonna have to cut and it sucks. So if y'all get the double-sided adhesive for the door flares like me, get the thin strip shit. Don't get the thick wide strip, or you're gonna have to cut a lot and it's gonna suck. Need on the corners, because the middle will be out.
I didn't want to get in for a second there.
We're using these big boys. These ain't. Alright guys, you see we got the flare lined up how it should be. So I'm taking the flares back off, and now that I know the bracket is where it needs to be exactly, I'm taking everything off. I'm gonna make the cut where the bracket goes so you could remove your bumper freely without removing the bracket. And then we're gonna connect the flares and make our cuts. So I'll show you guys that process. Next step, on this rear side here, we're gonna make this one piece. We're gonna screw it together and plastic weld it, mark up where we gonna make our cuts, and then we're gonna cut it, and it will match the body lines. And then we're gonna do the front on this side, and then we're gonna start cutting the fenders. so you guys can see. This is the process. This is how you make these one piece. People a lot of times do it like this, and you can, but the point of these staples is to do it this way because the curves reinforce it. So if you do these yourself, people, the best way to use these specific shape staples is this way.
People who say what's wrong and what's right when it comes to doing plastic welding, but there's really no right or wrong way to do it. I mean, I guess I won't say there's no wrong way, but what I mean by that, people, is depending on your project with this plastic welder, you're going to have to adjust. Like, for instance, this kit, certain angles you're going to have to go on both sides of the flares just to reinforce the weld so nothing cracks over time. Right here, I got to do the staple this way, just because long ways one won't fit there. But as long as the majority of the ones are long ways, you'll have the most reinforcement. Now, once these are plastic welded, you have almost no chance it'll crack. And that's what you want. Also, when you let the staple cool down before you pull the gun off it, you can always twist the staple a little to kind of infuse that staple in the plastic. So if you guys are doing this yourself, you can twist the staple ever so slightly when you let off and pull the gun off it. It'll just help ever so much more reinforce it. Also, guys, another thing I was trying to say, like, there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's really not, and this is another example of that. So right here, you see how there's this corner that one would not fit. We use a straight staple, so you have some reinforcement up here, because you don't just want nothing reinforcement at top half.
Alright, you guys. So, once you plastic weld the flares together, you're going to want to mark where you're going to cut. In my instance, I put the flares when they're welded together on the car so I can mark exactly where the body lines meet the flare. And then I use tape to get a straight line, and you just cut with the tape on. So, like I said, the tape just kind of guides the line that you're going to make the cut. You don't have to cut with the tape on, but it helps if you can't really keep a straight line. But ain't nothing to it but to do it. y'all see. Now, when you make these cuts, depending on the type of thing you use to cut it with, I just use a regular angle grinder. There's Dremels that could probably cut cleaner, but all this plastic comes right off, and then you just sand it, and the line's usually pretty straight if you could mark your lines correctly. So any imperfections aren't going to matter because you're going to need to do some body filler on these anyway when you do where they meet. So if you get any lines that aren't the best, it's not the biggest deal, but you do want it as straight as you can get just to make it easier. So now we'll see the results, test fit it. Okay, and now you guys see, you know, the cuts are pretty straight. There's a little imperfections, but you sand everything and then you apply filler. This is all gonna need to be grinded and have filler applied over it either way. So when you do the filler here, you just add some here and then straighten it out. It's not really hard. These are the easier ones, but that's really all it is. Now we can sand these flush, and then actually, that's what we'll do. Like I said, emphasizing these cuts ain't gonna be the perfect cut until you get body filler applied. Now we can see how we lined them up. And you can see that that's pretty good if you ask me. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that matches that body line. And just like that, we already getting this thing together, yo. Let's see what this rear one is looking like. So if you got a 11 to 14 7 gen wide body like me, or you're trying to wide body it, when you do these flares in the front and back to get these body lines to match perfect, set this kit up first like this, put the brackets on, and then take these flares off, plastic weld these like I showed you guys with the plastic welder, and then put it on like this as one piece on the brackets already cut. You're gonna use blue painter's tape, and you're gonna use a piece on top for the fender and then the bottom. So you're gonna have your body line that you're gonna cut right in the middle of the tape. So that's the key. A lot of people don't do that. But to get your body lines to match well, just use blue painter's tape, mark the marker line, and then if you need to, keep that tape on when you make your cut with the angle grinder, and the cuts come out very clean if you take your time. And you guys can see, this is what I mean. It's not gonna look perfect. And if you plastic weld before you make your cuts like me, you might have some staples you're gonna have to cut through with that grinder. But this is the hardest part to cut, at least in my opinion. So take your time on this rear, make this cut, and I'll show you guys after. So when you want to change the wide body side skirts, you're gonna want a tool like this or a flathead, and there's two pop tabs on both sides. You're gonna want to get them popped. The other side came out easy. Of course, this side won't. I got that one. Flew out somewhere, but I got more of these if I lose them. Got them. I think they broke, but that's okay. We got more. All right, so I got all of them off. Now you're just gonna want to yank. Might feel like you're gonna break it. Actually, To make it easier, the flathead would probably do well. We can use this. Boom. Then the underside, that sound retarded, y'all. The underside is clipped in as well. So you'll want to unclip this from the side, and then you could pull the skirts off from underneath, because that's all that's clipped in. So I'll show you all what I mean. Work with me here since I'm my own cameraman. Alright, so now it's just bottom clips. Now, a lot of these bottom clips usually break in the process, so high chance these are gonna break. We're about to find out. But that's why every time I change side skirts, I buy new clips. If you can reuse them, reuse them. But if they break, just buy new clips. They're cheap. Just gotta pull it off now. Boom. Clip broke, as y'all see. It's not really any good way to take these off. Alright. Woo! All those clips broke. Actually, I wonder if they did. We're gonna see. Alright. We got the side skirts on. And let me tell you guys, if you're going this route with the flares, get it with the side skirts. Because look how much better this looks already, even without the wheel fitment. These side skirts make all the difference. Yo, so we're on to the next step. So with these back flares, there's a couple of things you're gonna have to do to get these right when you make them fit on the 11 to 14. So firstly, you won't get a flush fitment on this unless you cut down here. And I'll show you guys where to cut. And also, under this wheel liner, you're gonna wanna cut. Let me show you. So you have access to the bolts for the rear bumper without having to mess with this wheel liner. It's a lot more difficult when you have the flare with the bracket on. You don't have to cut it, but I highly recommend it. I just use a pair of snips. You just cut a rectangle out so you have access to this bolt without ever having to move the liner back. It's a lot easier when you have molded flares. But I'm gonna show you guys where to cut for your rear fenders so it can fit flush if you're doing this on the 11 to 14. Right. So once you got the flare off, you see where this curve is. You're gonna wanna cut from about here to here. So I'm gonna cut it and you guys could see about how much you gotta cut. So this is about how much I cut off when I'm trying to make it flush. So the cuts don't have to be super pretty. I mean, get it relatively straight. But now, when you put this flare on, pop it back into the little bracket that they do put on for the rear, which is almost fucking pointless. You pop that on, and then you have way better fitment. And I'll show you guys what I mean when I say the cut behind here so you have access to the bolt. So this is what I mean. I cut this off with those snips, so now you could always freely access this bolt. And now with the bottom of this cut, you could plastic weld these together close enough so that you could add your body filler, your plastic body filler. So I'm gonna plastic weld these flares to the bumper, and then I'm gonna do the same to the front, show you guys that. And then we're gonna take these bumpers off, fiberglass the top holes, so there's no hole when you take this bumper off at the top of the flare. And then we're gonna cut the fenders.
This is the long, tedious process.
Alright guys, so this is how it looks when you plastic weld these flares. Make your cut with the body lines and then plastic weld the flares onto the bumper. Got to do this front left side, but I did the front right and front back, or back right. But you can see it's a lot flush, more flush when you make that cut that I showed you guys. But that looks so much cleaner. So now these flares on the bumpers will never go nowhere, guaranteed, with just the bracket and the plastic welds holding it. And then you go over it with body filler, plastic body filler. So you can see, same thing on this side. Plastic welded the flares, made the cut at the bottom to make it flush. It's not rocket science, guys. It's just tedious work. You know, you got to commit to it. That's it. Mess up and learn on the way. There's nothing really you can't fix that you mess up doing this project, unless you're just really not that bright. But I'm gonna do this one. This one you don't gotta make no cuts to the flares to make flush. You just weld it on. So we're gonna get to that one. And also we're gonna cut the inner wheel well by the bolt like I did in the back, so you don't have to pull back the wheel well liner when you take your bumper off. Just makes it easier when these flares are on. So you see the bolt is always accessible. So now we're gonna do this front flares like I do. With it being snapped in the bracket too, it's not gonna budge, it's not gonna go nowhere. And like I said, if I were you guys and you're doing this yourself like me, cut that wheel well liner where the bolt is with some snips, so you have easy access to the bolt once you have your flares molded. Because people ask, how do you get your bumper off with the flares molded? I mean, you could still get to the wheel well bolt without cutting it, but it's just annoying because you have to pull the liner back. So I just recommend that everyone cut that little section, a little rectangle where that bolt goes, so you don't ever have to pull any liner back, and it's easy access. You don't even it's like you don't even have a molded bumper, because it doesn't affect taking it off at all. You don't have to take the flares off. So that's why I tell you guys to do that. And you just do this all the way down. You could go under the flare onto the bumper too if you want. Anywhere that you could really weld the flare to the bumper, you could hit. The important part is where you're putting plastic filler. So essentially this whole front area is going to need these, so it doesn't shift at all in the future and that filler doesn't crack. You want to make sure that it's completely welded on and just mold it into one piece. This front's super easy, and you guys see it's molded on. It ain't going nowhere now. So that's how you do it. It's not rocket science. $30 plastic weld tool. And if you don't want to do it yourself, you don't think you're capable, it's fine. Take it to me, or take it to someone who you know could do this. 4K Custom is someone who I learned a lot from just watching on YouTube. Shout out to him. His build's sick. Check out his channel if you guys don't know who he is. He has a lot of insightful content for people who want to wide body these 11 to 14s, or really any charger. So I highly recommend his channel. But you know, if you guys come to me, I do reasonable prices. I'm negotiable. I just want to see everyone have a nice ride. So if I could get a decent amount of people who support me and actually want me to install their kit, I have no problem doing it for them. So if you guys want to have your kit installed like this guy, just reach out to my Instagram, DM me, and I will get back to you eventually. Sometimes it takes a while because my message requests, you know, they don't show DMs right away. So just be patient. I will get back to you guys, especially if you're serious and you're deposit ready. I do need a deposit for these jobs, but I'm very negotiable with my prices. So if you think you want one of these kits installed and you can't do it, reach out to me. I'll hook you guys up. We're gonna have this kit done very soon. After this, I'm gonna take these bumpers off, the fiberglass, the top, and then I'm gonna start marking up where I'm gonna cut these fenders underneath the flares. So when we put these spacers on, the wheels don't hit the fenders and knock them off. But they will be bolted on too, so we'll get her done. All right, guys, so I grinded down all the staples from the plastic welds. It ain't gonna be the prettiest, and you're gonna have to put plastic filler over them, obviously. So what I'm doing is getting the fenders mocked up so I could cut them, and then these gaps I'm gonna fiberglass so I could put body filler over them and they could be flush with no gap. And then I'm gonna let that fiberglass set overnight, so tomorrow I could do body filler on the flares and the flares with the bumpers. And if I get to it tonight, I'm gonna add bolts to these flares so I could let the bolts set overnight, and then when they set, I can mock up where I'm gonna drill my holes, drill those in, and then put the body filler on the flares like I said, and that's really it. Once that's all sanded down and primed, this dude's ready to go. And I got his 2-inch spacers. Someone nearby had a pair for sale from a Dodge Charger, and 2-inch, if you guys don't know, if you have 20x9 wheels, 2-inch spacers are what you're gonna need to make the fitment flush with these flares if you don't have wide body wheels and can't afford them. You can get a set of those for like $100. So that's what we're gonna do with this dude's car. Once everything's done, I'm gonna throw the 2-inch spacers on so you guys could see how it looks with 2-inch spacers. But you could see I mocked up all the sides. I'm gonna cut the fenders. So the 2-inch spacers, when they're on, the wheels will not rub, they won't hit a fender. And that's that. As you guys see, fenders in the front are now cut. If you're limited on blades, I recommend you start in the front because the back is thicker and there's double layered metal. The fenders in the front are not as thick as the ones in the back. So just keep that in mind. You might want a long sawzall so you can get the metal behind the front, because you do want both pieces cut. But that's the front fenders, guys. They're cut. So now let's get to the back. at that. Alright. This is what I mean, guys. Double metal. So
I'll cut it like this. Also, use this, get a now we got our guideline.
just like that. It's cut. Like I said, not for the weak of heart. If you're not a professional, I mean, I'm not a professional, but you know, I did it and I got used to it. So if you're not someone who thinks they're capable of cutting their car and doing a good job, then don't do this. Just leave it to someone like me. Pay the extra money. It'll be worth it in the long run for it to be done right. So I haven't got to the step yet, but where these gaps are for the flares and the bumpers, I am gonna fiberglass so I can put body filler over. So before you apply fiberglass, sand whatever you put fiberglass over so that fiberglass could really adhere. So just all around. Could go over it with an electric sander, it'd be a lot easier. But as long as you do some 80 grit, it's gonna stick. So, alright guys, so when you use this JB Weld, like I said, make sure you sand the inside of the flares very well and use a 50-50 ratio. You gotta mix it by hand till it turns one solid gray color. And then when it turns that color, you're gonna wanna take, you can really use different size bolts. I believe I was using the big boys for the most part, and then I did use the small ones, I believe, for certain areas depending where you're trying to reach a nut behind the fender. Some areas are smaller, but you're gonna basically put it down like this, glob a bunch at the bottom to where it holds it, and then you're gonna want to use this tape, wrap it around the bolt, and let that set overnight, because that JB Weld will move until it solidifies and hardens. So you're gonna want to use this tape. 100% they will fall if you don't. So this is an important step. Make sure you pay attention. If you're DIYing this, this is how you get permanent bolts right here. All right, so once you guys have all your fenders cut, the next step is your fender flares are gonna need to be cut underneath, because you're gonna have wider wheels. And if you don't cut these, it's gonna take away the purpose of cutting the fenders. So what you need to do is line up where you're gonna cut, you know, mark it up and just line it up where your fender cuts are, and I'll show you guys what I mean. All right, so hopefully this makes sense to you guys. So under this, from here to here is how much you have to cut. So when you put it on, you can see this tape lines up with where my fenders are cut. So you're gonna cut this section out. You go about as far as you can without hitting the outside of it, obviously. So I'll cut some so you guys can see the shape that you gotta cut. just like that. Boom. Now you guys can see I marked off what I didn't want to cut. And you're gonna sand these down and go over everything with filler if you want it to look super perfect. But this is gonna be under the wheel well, and you can see, take this shit off, but you can see how I cut them. And you can see for the front, there's a lot more cut. And I showed you guys where I taped. Boom. So now, when you put these on, your fenders are cut and your flares are cut. So those wide wheels or those spacers on your wheels that make them poke out will not rub on anything. So everything is cut. Now we're on to adding bolts to these flares, then fiberglass on the top of the flares on the bumpers that are molded. So I'll show you guys that next. So guys, this is what I mean when I say JB weld and tape bolts. It's gonna be a bitch because they're gonna wanna keep sliding. You need 4 to 5 at least on each side in the front and 2 to 3 in the back. That's all you need. So keep an eye on these, make sure they're secured tight enough, check on them every 30 minutes, make sure, like, look at that, a bolt just fell. So gotta resecure it, god damn it. All right guys, so after you cut your fenders and add the bolts to the flares, for the 11 to 14s, like I said, there's gaps here when you cut these, and it looks a little iffy, and you can kind of see it even with the flares on. So what I do is I cut something, I just use cardboard. You could use really anything that would fit in here to get the ideal shape. So then you could lay some fiberglass cloth and resin over that and let it harden, aka this stuff. So when it hardens and sets, you could put body filler over it, and the body filler has something to sit on instead of a gaping hole, and it looks nice and more so factory. So I'm gonna show you guys, but basically all you do is you get this stuff, the resin, it comes with this hardener. You put this in a cup of some sort, and you just put a little drop or two, not much of this at all, into the cup. You mix it up, and you use a brush on this stuff, and you place this over wherever you want to harden. So I'll show you guys how to use it, but it's really straightforward and simple. You just need some scissors, cut it to shape, put it over what you want, put the resin over and under it, and then put in between about 5-10 minutes, put another layer, then another. You want 2 to 3 layers at least when you use fiber cloth, and let that set for a full 24 hours. So this is what I mean. Put the cardboard piece or whatever you want to use for the fiberglass to be held on. You put the resin on, which you're going to apply the fiberglass cloth over, and then once that cloth's on there, you put more resin over that. So you can see I put one piece, there's resin on it. Now we're going to let that set for about 5-10 minutes, do about 2 more 3 layers, and we're going to do that for all the flares where we cut on the bumpers, so there's no gap. And I'll show you guys the final result. All right, you guys, so while the fiberglass sets, before I could put body filler over this, we're going to throw the 2-inch spacers on. So if you want to get spacers with stock wheels for the wide body kit, aka 20x9 wheels, you want 2-inch or 2.5 at most, but 2-inch will give you that 20x11 OEM fitment. So these right here, I'll link them in the description. Titan accessory, they're like 125 bucks I think for all 4, but they're very good quality. They bolt on, so you don't have to worry about these coming off. They bolt on like a wheel, then you bolt the wheel onto these. So I'll throw these on and show you guys how they look. All right, you guys, so once you get the wheel off, if you're going with spacers, you line it up, and these bolts are going to be torqued down onto your regular studs, and then you're going to torque your wheel down on this once you make sure it's up to spec. My boy's about to hand me my attachments. Let me see that, man. Yeah, thank you. We're about to use this to put this on, actually. Yeah, you like the Daytona, man? Oh, you like the green one? I get it. All right, so you guys can see I got the 2-inch spacers on. And on this side, nothing. Wheels look small, sucked in. And then on this side, a lot more flush. 2.5-inch might do it perfect, but these 2-inch look really good compared to what he had. All right, guys, so I didn't really show this step for the simple fact that it took a long time. But we had to drill holes for our bolts. They're not going to be the prettiest. So if you don't think you're capable of cutting your own car, don't even attempt this. But we drilled holes for the bolts on both sides. So now the flares could go on. You could bolt them on. So the only thing left to do is the body filler. So that's what we're at now. And that's it. All right, guys. So final step of the body work. Basically the whole kit. Make sure you sand where your plastic welds are and wherever you're applying filler before you apply it, or else the filler won't adhere properly. So use some 80 grit. Go over, for instance, this area where you're gonna put body filler, sand it down, and then use some type of body plastic filler. Don't use regular filler, it will crack on plastic. This plastic filler is somewhat flexible, so when the plastic flexes, it won't just instantly crack over time. So this is the stuff I personally use. You're gonna mix it and simply apply over these. I'm not gonna show you guys how I mix this filler, but if you want to see how, I have the video of me doing it on my first installation video for this. It's really simple. You can search up videos how to mix filler. It's all the same. You put in some hardener when you put your glob down, like one line of this hardener across the circle of filler, and then mix it till it's one color, and you just apply it. So I'm not gonna record myself doing this because it's a tedious project, but I'll show you guys when I'm done. All right, guys, so I sanded the filler. We did the front too. We did all these flares. So now they're body filled and sanded. I'm gonna use this 2-in-1 sandable primer, let it set for a couple hours, and then if it looks good, I'll keep it. If it doesn't look good, you sand it one more time, go over it with filler if you need any, and go over it with the primer again, and then if it looks good, you're good to go. So we're gonna just sand these down, sand the bumpers where we did body work, and let everything set. All right, you guys, we finished the wide body. I'm about to pull up on dude right now. I got it right here, so ain't much to say. I'm gonna show y'all what it's looking like. Beautiful. Wide body, 7 gens taking over. That's a crazy thing to see, honestly. I'll show y'all his reaction when I pull up on him. But this is it. I took her for a test drive. Flares holding on good. Spacers holding good. And that's it. Off to the customer so he could go back home tomorrow. He got like a 12-hour drive. I'm gonna put bro's Instagram in the comments, or in the description and in the comments. I'll pin my comment so you can see it. Follow him, cool ass dude. He came out with the rare Daytona, so you know I had to get this bitch right for him, man. Really cool dude. Just note, guys, price is going up. If you want these kits installed, reach out to me through Instagram. I do take deposits, so if you really want something seriously done, you gotta book a date, give me a deposit, and we'll talk from there. So If you guys like this, you know, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're about to pull up on my boy and show him what it's looking like. All right, guys, we picked up my boy. He got his ride, I got mine, and it's fully done. Aside for paint, I got him together so you guys can see. What up, gang? Say what up to YouTube. How you feeling about this?
Man, I'm hella excited to go back and get it painted. It already looks OEM. You see it. You did an amazing job. I'm very happy about it. I'm very happy about it.
I appreciate it, bro. But yeah, guys, we got it together. So now we just brought both these things out. And I mean, look at that, bro. When do you see two wide body 7 gens by each other? It's not very often. So I just had to get these together to show you guys before I end this video. Cause I mean, this is just the start. We gonna get some more people's kits on. We gonna keep doing this. The content's gonna keep coming. So as long as you guys are tuning in and there's subscribers who actually, you know, want this done, just reach out. It's that easy. I mean, I'm negotiable. I work with people. I just want to see everyone win. So that's really why I do this. I love to do it. I love to see people's reactions. And I know when I was trying to get mine done, I wish I had someone that could guide me the right way. So if y'all need to be, you know, kits installed and need some work done, reach out. Follow me on Instagram. Follow my boy. What's your Instagram name?
Shit is Mr. Daytona, Mr.Daytona _.
Okay, yeah. Mr.Daytona _. I'll put it in the bio below. So y'all can follow me and follow him if you guys are just tuning in. So again, I'm gonna just show y'all the cars. Seeing these next to each other is insane. Man. We in your guys' way? We can move if you guys need. That's it for the entire video. Wide body install from start to finish. We got them together in a week. You see the two thick girls next to each other. So if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, leave a comment suggesting new stuff, content you want to see, whatever you want to see, suggest it below. I read all comments. And if you like this content, share, because any growth helps support the channel. I'm almost remonetized, and that means I'll get paid for making videos, which then means I'll make more videos because I'll be getting paid. So I appreciate everyone who watches and supports the channel. It's not easy work, but we get it done. I mean, these just look so goddamn good. It's surreal to see them. I hope you guys are as happy with the outcome as we are. But all that matters is what the customer thinks, and he likes it. I like it.
Oh yeah, this is great.
Side skirt's song just needs paint. So that's it for today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. It's been a long week. My boy has to drive back home tomorrow. I got work, back normal schedule. I'm beat. So, like I said, if y'all are new to the channel, just show support, subscribe, like the video, drop a comment, and that's it. Peace.